We are Aldea, a spiritual community for people of all kinds of faith backgrounds, or those who don't have any experience with spirituality or religion. And what connects us are values like love and open-mindedness, rather than doctrine or dogma. Our ability to create this inclusive and welcoming space is made possible through donations from people just like you. So whether you join us regularly in person or you tune into our messages from all over the place, if you enjoy what we're up to, we would so appreciate it if you'd consider giving to Aldea, whether it's a one-time gift or setting up a recurring donation. You can find more information on how to give in the description of today's episode. Thanks again for joining us, and we hope you enjoy today's message.
Well, good morning.
Good morning.
I should have thought about, I know Jake doesn't use a little stand. I have one. Things change. So I think it's hilarious that Michelle introduced me as the OG. I said, let's go with that one. And I said, especially because a couple of years ago, the team I was with at work started using that expression every once in a while. And I had to pause in the conversation and be like, I don't know what OG means. And they helped me understand it was original gangster. And so I think for me to be called original gangster for Aldea, I mean, it's kind of full circle. I love it. So, hey, it's been a while since I've been here. I think my last message standing in this very space was at the end of 2019. Anything happened in between now and then? Yeah, so it's been, to use an unnecessary understatement, it's been a bit of a journey from there to here. So it's really great to be back and to be standing here today and to be able to share a few thoughts with you. When Jake asked me a few weeks ago, a couple months ago, whenever it was, hey, would you be willing to speak at Aldea? It was a immediate and unquestioned yes. Oh, wow, thank you. And it was that for me for two reasons. One, and the first reason is I absolutely love Jake. I am so grateful that Jake and Olivia are here. I am grateful for Jake's leadership, his vision. I think we are collectively, as Aldea, off the charts lucky to have him here. What do you call the young gangster? Is there a word? Because I won't know it.
Baby gangster.
Okay. So, of course, it was easy to say yes. And it was easy to say yes because I love this place. I haven't been here much, but, I love this place. And I'm grateful to be back and so happy that Aldea is here. I will also tell you in full disclosure that it was a very halting yes that came right at the edge of the wave of, absolutely, Jake, I would be happy to do that. And then there was probably I don't remember, it was 5 minutes later or 5 days later, there was one of those moments where it went sort of, if I can be really honest, it went like this, oh shit. What did I do? And somebody told me, Kevin, Jake doesn't swear. I think she was trying to gently coach me, don't swear. But the OG gotta be the OG. So I had this oh shit, I said yes. I gotta write a message. I walked in today and Rob and I were getting all stuff ready. He goes, do you still remember how to do this? And I'm like, I guess we're gonna see. But I didn't transition away from Aldea because I didn't love Aldea or the work we do here in this community and what it means. It was really simply a reflection of, in the ongoing journey of life, which is ongoing for all of us, I was embracing the chapter I was in, celebrating the work of the years here and the blood, sweat, and tears that so many of us put into creating a community like this. but it was time for me to embrace fully, in the same way, the next journey of my life, and to really recognize, even as I do today, that the work I do as a person who works now in corporate America isn't really that different than the work I did here, which is all about building community and helping people grow and growing myself. And so I'm just haltingly glad to be here today and to be able to share a few thoughts. I know you've been in a series over the last few weeks on the hero's journey. And so Jake asked me if I could just sort of land the series today and talk about the ongoing journey of life. And so as I reflected on such journeys, the hero's journey, the journey of life, the journey of transformation, my own journey over the last few years and decades, I have a few things that just emerged that felt important to me. And perhaps you've had similar thoughts. I'm going to share them with you in a series of pictures, but before, I wanted to just sort of show a clip that is from my favorite series of the pandemic and beyond. So just take a couple moments to watch this, if you would.
Sorry to interrupt, but I just wanted to quickly let you know about an easy and free way that you can support Aldea. Did you know that between our YouTube and Apple Podcast channel, our online audience is often 2 to 3 times the size of our in-person audience? Not only do we value our online community, but we recognize how powerful it can be in spreading our message of love, period. So, how can you help? Like our videos, leave a comment, subscribe to our YouTube channel, subscribe to our podcast, leave a positive review. All of these things go a really long way in increasing our visibility and help to get our messages out into the world. So we thank you for your help. All right, let's get back to the message.
All right, so any Ted Lasso fans out there? You watch it? How many of you have never seen Ted Lasso? Then you're welcome for 2 minutes if you have no idea what's going on. However, Ted Lasso as a show, it's on Apple TV. If you haven't watched it, you probably should leave and just start watching it now because it's that good. But it came along at precisely the right time. Right at the beginning of the pandemic, it came out. And it was just this dose of, Ted Lasso is the character that Jason Sudeikis plays, the soccer coach, who goes from an American college football coach, hired to go coach a Premier League team in England, and he knows nothing about soccer. And it's just his journey of life. And the beauty of Ted Lasso is, like, this guy is just full of enthusiasm for life. He is positive to a fault. He brings energy to everything he does. He's like my spirit animal. And the series, which is really about this team, AFC Richmond, in the Premier League, it doesn't exist, by the way. I didn't know that when I first started watching the show. It's presumably about this team, but it's really about life. It's about people. And what I love and why I brought it into today's message is it's really an amazing tale of transformation. Every one of the major characters in that series, over its 3 years, they grow, they develop, they emerge. Several of them have really transformational journeys. And I love it, and as I reflect on that series, I can't get enough of it. I've watched the first 2 seasons 3 times now. This 3rd season that just ended, I don't know, a few weeks ago, I've watched now. I'm almost through it twice. But I love stories of transformation. And that's, again, what you've all been talking about over these last few weeks, and this hero's journey, and what it means for us to grow ourselves, to develop, to emerge, to transform. And so when I think of that space in life, and when I think of the hero's journey itself, I will say this, like when I first heard of hero's journey, whenever that was, and Joseph Campbell and this epic tale of like a normal, seemingly ordinary person who has this call to adventure and action and gets thrown into this unexpected quest and then encounters everything from guardians to heroes who help to mentors and guides to villains who seek to destroy, and encounters overwhelming kinds of challenges, and it seems like defeat is imminent and they fall into this abyss of almost death, and then supernatural help occurs and they emerge transcendent. And then they return to life, but they return to their normal life transformed, and with this kind of wisdom that they bring to everything they do. Are you with me on this journey? I remember seeing that and appreciating it. Like, it's brilliant in Frodo Baggins, right? But I don't see a whole heck of a lot of me in that journey. Like, I'm just kind of a normal guy, doing normal stuff. Can you relate to that at all? And realize that at the same time, for each of us, of course, we have our own hero's journey of being called into the adventure of life and into the journey of becoming. We all face challenges that at times are overwhelming. We all face challenges that feel like, geez, I don't know if I'm going to be able to do this. We all gain help along the way from people who love us, who walk with us, who share their wisdom with us, who challenge us to grow. We all face our own sort of nefarious characters along the way who impede our journey. We all receive the help we need, and if we'll take it, we can walk through just about anything and emerge transcending and transforming along the way. Do you believe that? Because I sure do. And in that journey of life, then, here's how I've been thinking of it for today. And a first image that I think guides what I think every hero that you and I, we need if we're going to hero it up in our own lives. The first tool we need is one of these. And Rob, can you pull up that first image? There you go. What's this? A mirror. And I think this is a call to look into the mirror of who we are as human beings and not look away. Are you tracking with me okay? Here's I think, a reality of human nature. We prefer not to see about ourselves the things we prefer not to see about ourselves. Have you ever discovered this to be true for you? If you love someone deeply and you've walked a long time with them in life, you already know they don't like to see about themselves what they don't want to see about themselves. And then to look at ourselves, of course. It's just hard. Sometimes in the metaphor of looking into our own lives and looking into the mirror and seeing who we really are, the challenge can be we look and look away. I remember delightfully having a conversation with a buddy of mine. This is years ago when I had first started meditating. And we were talking about it. He was like, well, what do you do? And I was like, well, you really don't do anything. You just sit and you breathe and you are present to what's going on. And he's like, oh, not for me. And he was so unashamed about it. He was just like, I don't want to imagine what would go into my head if I just sat and listened for a while. I'm like, well, God love you for it. But that's, I think, so true for how it is in life. It's so hard to be able to look into the mirror and not get, and I'm not talking about like looking into the mirror to primp, which I've done. Like, I do kind of like to every once in a while look in the mirror and go, and think, and tell Sylvia, I live with this every day. You're welcome. Or there are times when we can easily look into the mirror, and I've done this, and go, oh God, like, is this what 61 needs to look like? Like, I've got wrinkles, and there's just quite a lot of gray, and I'm like, there is a Kevin in there somewhere that used to exist. But it's not that thing of looking in the mirror and primping. It's not looking in the mirror with sort of mirror shaming or mirror chagrining, like, oh my God. It's looking into the mirror with an appreciative and an appreciative kind of awareness in which we see ourselves for who we really are. And we're willing to see the beauty of who we really are. To, like that song was talking about, like to be able to discover and live our true colors. It is important for us. It's transformational for us as human beings to be able to look into the mirror and think, and I bring a lot of beauty into this world. I'm capable of deep love. There's kindness that lives in the heart of who I am. There's a genuine desire to be my ever-emerging best self. There's beauty that lives in my eyes when I look into them. Can you see it for yourself? It's also important to be able to look in without flinching and think, and there's ugliness that lives in me. And I can be unkind and small and petty. I can be hurtful. I can be impatient with the people I love the most. I can be critical and judgmental. I can be small-minded. They all live together. I'm telling you what lives in me. Can you relate to it?
Yes.
And it's important for us to be able to look into the mirror and think, those are all true. And I think the importance for us on this ever-emerging hero's journey is that we're able to see all of that and realize it's all there and it's all part of the beauty of our own existence. There's a great character, one of the characters I love. Well, I love all of them. I was going to say one of the characters I love the most, but I love them all the most. Like, they're all my favorites. There's a character who is complicated, and his character name is Nathan Shelley. And when we first meet Nate, he's the kit man, which means he does the team's laundry, he cleans their shoes, he sets up the cones for practice, he brings them water, and he is this sort of endearingly sort of bumbling, lacking in confidence, stammering kind of character. He's a kind of beautiful character in his struggle for some confidence and to find his voice. But he's also either bullied by a couple of mean players or kind of ignored by most everyone else. And part of the story of Ted Lasso is the emergence of this character, Nate, who really nobody sees but Ted Lasso, the coach. He starts to see him. And he learns his name. And the first time he says his name back to Nate, Nate's like, "You remember my name?" And then he starts talking to Nate. He asks him questions. He starts to realize Nate's like a football whisperer. He's like a genius carrying water. And he starts putting plays into the team that Nate dreams up. And then he creates opening spaces for Nate. And Nate, who starts to emerge and discover himself, also discovers in himself that he has a very shadow side, this character. He himself, though he's been bullied and unseen, and people have been unkind to him, he's been lost in the shadows. He discovers he has this raw ambition to be seen, and to be heard, and to be in charge, and to be praised. He also discovers his own ability to be mean, and he is terrible to the new kit man, and harsh, and bullying himself. Can you feel Nate's journey? He's struggling to be Nate. And then there's this one sort of thing that happens, and it's this, as he's journeying toward having more of a voice, he's trying to assert himself, and he struggles. So he goes to the men's room and he stands in front of the mirror and he does a power pose that someone has taught him. And he does some version of this. It goes like this. He does that in the mirror and then he's like this. He's like, oh God, no. Like, that's not me. And then he looks into the mirror and you can see conflict. And he's staring at himself in the mirror and you can see contempt for himself, for the way people treat him, for the way the world works. And in that moment, he spits violently into the mirror on his own image. And he storms back in and gets his way. And then throughout the rest of the season, this becomes Nate's practice. At a moment of crisis and in doubt, and when he's struggling to find a voice, he'll storm into a mirror or he'll hide under his desk and he'll spit at himself. It's pretty ugly and pretty human. And I'll fast forward. Along the way, Nate does make some discoveries about himself. He starts to feel more himself. And in one moment toward the end of the whole of the series, motivated now by love and a desire to live out that love, he's at a hesitation moment. And he pauses and he power walks into the bathroom. He stands in front of the mirror, and here's the picture. This is Nate the Great standing in front of the mirror. And he's about to spit on himself. And then you just see a moment of like peace. And he just smiles. And he turns and walks away. Can you feel the difference? Look, all I want to say about this first image and the mirror is this. None of us, you nor I, we will never grow into the next phase of our life, the next phase of our own journey, the next phase of our own discovery of our own brilliance or the impact we can make in this world until we're able to appreciate who we really are right now. Not running from it, not pretending to see something other than is there, but to simply be ourselves and move forward. And when we're in that space, the next image I'll put on the screen for us is this. And it represents, we got to do the work. So sometimes the work is like this. And we're owning whatever version of self-reflection and self-awareness and the ability to sit with our own lives and see and understand the patterns that exist within us. The things that we do that are self-limiting, the things we do that are self-enhancing and bring better and greater impact to the world around us. It's like there's a power in just sitting and being. Are you with me? Sometimes that's the work. I find that to be really hard work. I can do it and then I stop doing it. And then I do it and then I stop doing it. Even today when we were doing it for a couple minutes, it's like, can we just not stop yet? And then tomorrow I'm going to forget that it feels so good to do it. It's hard work. Sometimes this is the work we need to do. The next one. Yeah. Does anybody know what this is? This is tiling. And this for me is iconically the worst work a person could ever do in their whole life. And once you do it, you know if there were a hell, and I don't believe there is, but if there were a hell where people go because they were horrible, awful, terrible, despicable humans and they get tormented for all of eternity, this is what they have to do. And it's a cycle. So, like Sisyphus-ish-like thing, you gotta start with this. A floor that's already old and ugly, and you have to pull up the tile, and then all the glue, and you have to chip away existing tile. You're gonna get cut and get stitches. You're gonna swear to yourself. You're gonna think this is the worst possible part of tiling. And then you're gonna clear off the floor. And then you're gonna have to start laying tile. And then you're gonna think, oh, this is the worst part of tiling. Nothing could ever be worse than this. And your knees are going to hurt. And your back is going to hurt. And you're gonna be stressed about the lines not being straight. And people are going to be looking over your shoulders thinking, are you able to really do this? And you're going to cry and think, oh my God, how long can it last? And then you're going to get to grouting, and then you're going to think, oh my God, grouting is the worst part of this. And then you're going to get to cleaning the grout. Does it ever go away? And then as soon as you're done with that in hell, you're going to be given the thing to chip it all up and start all over again. Like, this is terrible work, and I'm going to tell you this. Human development is terribly difficult work. Are you with me? I'm a huge fan of human developmental psychology. I love many of the ways of thinking about it, including sort of my favorite one is this notion of that over the arc of human existence, we sort of have a spiral of growth that we can engage in. These spiral dynamics of growth. And there are phases through which we grow in life predictably. And one of the outcomes of that great body of research goes like this. I'll save that for a moment. And I think this, that you grow, here are some of those stages. Like the first stage, think toddlerhood. Do you remember toddlerhood? Have you been around toddlers lately? What's a toddler's favorite couple of words, maybe?
No.
Brilliant. Oh, I think I heard two. These are brilliant. Say it again.
No.
And somebody said over here? Mine. No and mine. Right? And all of life is this competition for, you can't tell me what to do. And mine. We had a sleepover with our grandkids, and Kira's still in the upper edges of childhood, 9 years old, and she hates sharing with Calvin, especially when we're playing Sassy Barbie, which you don't know about Sassy Barbie because I don't think that was an emerging thing when I was here last. Sassy Barbie is Kira sets up a restaurant in our spare bedroom, the playroom, and she waits on customers, and I'm Sassy Barbie. So she gives me a Barbie who's in a wedding dress, and I'm Sassy Barbie. Sassy Barbie has a voice, let's see, goes like this. So I'm ordering, so I walk in and I go, hello, and I'm twisting Barbie's hair. And it goes, it's my wedding day. Can you see my hair turning? I have to keep doing this. What are the specials of today? It better be very special because I'm special and it's my special day, right? And we play Sassy Barbie, and it's relentless. Like, she never wants to end, and I'm exhausted. But we're playing, and she does not want to share with Calvin. And she grabs anything he wants because he wants to play Sassy Barbie too. That is a perfect example of diplomat or of opportunist, what they call it, that childhood, mine and no. And some human beings get stuck in that phase. Very few, but some even who have been former presidents get stuck in that phase. But this isn't a political conversation, so I'm going to talk about that. And if and when we grow out of sort of that childish thing, we grow into the sort of, think of adolescence, and now we're finding our tribe, the people we belong to. I'm an athlete. And part of being an athlete is we know this. The band geeks are just geeks. But the band geeks know the athletes are just dumb jocks who can't even tie their own shoes. And then we got the smart kids who compete with the government kids. And there's overlap between those two. But we get in our tribe, and our people are good, and all the other people aren't. Can you feel it? And in adulthood, what this looks like is well, my church is better than your church. I mean, we've got it right, and you're going to hell, where you're going to lay tile for eternity. And we get this tribal orientation to life. And it can be funny, or it can be really, really, really damaging. It's better to be white than it is to be black. Ooh, now it got quiet. It's better to be man than it is to be woman. It's better to be, we can keep going, we can make it uncomfortable, but we need to be uncomfortable in that because it's ugly. And we get stuck in it. A lot of people get stuck in it. If we're able to grow through that, we discover that we have an existence beyond our own tribe, and it's about us being capable, and we become experts in life. This happens typically around college or our vocation, and we think, I'm an engineer, and if everyone was smart like we engineers, life would be so much better. Or just pick one. I'll use this one because I know many of you are in this field of endeavor. If everyone was just as smart and logical and discerning as we attorneys, the world would be much better. And we become the experts, and we become this blend of experts and achievers in our lives. Maybe we can grow beyond that. You saw a lot of that in that song that we played earlier, where I'm now an individual, but I can appreciate the brilliance that lives all around me. And think, if I don't take in the brilliance and the earned wisdom of those around me, I'm limiting myself in this world. Or I'm growing more from there into looking more broadly at life and thinking, how do I genuinely do the hard work of becoming my best self and encouraging others to be better? Or growing beyond that, how can I make this world a better place, full of more love and more sustainability, more of the beauty that exists in all of us? Can you see sort of the journey of humanity in that? One of the things I love is that, I don't love it, but one of the things I think is significant is that about almost 70% of adults get locked into expert achiever. I know more, I'm right, you're wrong. If you were just as smart as me, if you did it my way, or I'll work with you because we need to achieve some great results, but I still think you're kind of dumb inside, but I'll work with you because I have to. That space, almost 70% of adults live in that phase and never grow beyond it. And you know why? It's because to grow beyond it is expletive deleted tiling for the rest of our lives. We do the hard work of growing, and we never stop looking at ourselves and what do I need to do to continue to move forward? It's hard work. Are you with me? Yeah. And my question to you is, what hard work do you need to keep doing in your life? Sometimes it's about hard reflection. Sometimes it's about therapy. Sometimes it's about journaling practices. I don't know what it is for you, but I do know this. We've got to keep doing the work if we're going to keep growing. And for the love of God, I would love for at some point in my life to be able to go, hey, there's the tape and I'm crossing the finish line. I've arrived. Look at me. And then I could look in the mirror and go. But it just doesn't happen. My question to me is, what work do I need to keep doing? And it's hard. I'm reading a book right now that challenges me, pushes me. We need that. What work, what tiling is there in your life that you can keep doing, not give up on, not adopt the myth that I've already done that. I've already done such hard work. What's the next? If we go to the next image, I think this one I'm not going to spend a lot of time on, but we've all seen this Japanese pottery effort. When a pot breaks, for a lot of us, what we do is we throw the pot away and buy a new pot. Or I'm just remembering my brother Brian and I think of two adolescent males in a small house in San Diego when we were roughhousing. I think in a good spirit. I don't think we were angry at each other at the moment. We were roughhousing, and there was this spiral, wrought iron, ugly, classic 70s kind of thing that my mom would put stuff on, and there was a pot on it of some kind, and we knocked it off and it broke, and there was that moment of, oh, sweet Jesus. And we tried to glue it back together so none of the spaces that were broken could be seen. And maybe we would get away with it. That's how we tend to do in life. When we encounter our own brokenness or brokenness in another human being, we either want to just discard it, or let's pretend it doesn't. Let's gloss over it in such a way that none of the scars in my life show. Can you relate to that? But the beauty and the journey of heroing up in our own lives is more like this. And we don't hide it. We repair it with gold, and it becomes part of the beauty. until we can look at our own struggles and our own brokenness and think that's just part of what makes me beautiful. Like, that suffering helps me grow compassion for the suffering of others, if I allow it to. Seeing the hard realities of the way I've coped in my own life, and what once maybe helped me get through something now gets in my way. When I see that, that can contribute to the beauty of who I am. It's part of this. This is what earned wisdom looks like in life. And how can we create more in our communities and in our connections the ability to look at such things and think, hey, this is part of my beauty. It's not detracting from my beauty. I had just a great conversation this week with someone, a dear friend whom I've loved for many years. And we met up for a beer. And we were talking, and we do this often. And often the conversation is just about stuff, just life. This one was, it had been a really hard couple months for me at work. And just struggling. And my work now is in culture and organizational change. And I've often said in that environment, hey, the thing culture does best? It's not change. That's what culture does best. And that's a fun thing to say, and it's clearly true. But then I bump into it and I realize, oh my God, this is painful work I'm doing right now. And I sat across the table from him and I said, in all honesty, and this was after some conversation that got us there, I feel two things right now in terms of my work. I feel unappreciated and I feel lonely. And we just sat together in it. And he didn't have to fix it, because there's nothing to fix. I just needed space where I could say it, where I could point to, you see that gold vein right there? Man, that's what unappreciated feels like. And that one next to it, that's what lonely feels like. And I need another human being to join me in that for a moment. And let's raise our glass to feeling unappreciated and lonely. And it's here for today, and it'll pass. But I just need someone to love me in it. We need that. If we're going to grow, we have to be able to hold up the broken spaces in our life in the right places, in the right times, and realize that's actually what makes us beautiful. That's what a hero looks like. And we need more courageous heroes who are willing to not be perfect and create space for others not to be perfect, so that we as a community can grow together. And that's the last image I think I have to put up, is just this image of saying, how do we come together as heroes and as groups of heroes to say, how are we going to bring more love into this world? Because it is easy to sit back and be complaining about the world. There are many things, like if I watch the morning shows from today, to grouse about. Oh my God, did you see, I was going to say shit show, but I won't say that. Did you see that debacle of a debate this week? What has happened to that world? How do people think this way? And I could, oh my God, for the next 3 hours. Or I could pick up some of the themes that I talked about earlier. Why do we still live in a world where we are undervaluing the genius of our differences? Which is one of the core values has been of this community. That our differences are enriching for us. And why isn't it that we can sit next to each other with differing opinions and think, help me understand life from your perspective? From differing genders, from non-binary genders, from different cultural experiences, different experiences of life through the world of race. Why can't we create more of that? I could ain't it awful that, and there's a time and place for that, but it doesn't help me move forward to something that's better. How do we tackle the hard things where people are being marginalized? How do we look at it and not look away? How do we call it what it is? And then how do we bring more love into it? How does a community like this continue to create more love courageously in the world? How do I do that? I'll close with one of the expressions that I think came out of the book, The Art of Possibility. It was this practice, this little micro practice. Just ask yourself every morning, how will I be a contribution today? Which is not the same as like, how am I going to contribute to the world today? It's how will I be a contribution? It's not about my accomplishments. It's what am I going to bring into the world to bring more love, to bring more acceptance, to bring more wholeness, to bring more of the best in the people around me, to bring more of the best in me, to create more of our shared humanity that appreciates our differences, is enriched by our differences, doesn't claim they don't exist, but brings the beauty into that conversation. How am I going to do that? And that's, again, part of what I love about this community and the journey of being Aldea together, this village of people from diverse backgrounds, diverse perspectives. I think, look, in the frame of questions, here's a question that I would ask you to consider. What beauty do I want to bring into this world? And not in a sort of an elevated, I can't action it. What beauty do you want to bring into the world? What work are you willing to do to make that happen? What beauty do you want to bring into the world? What work are you willing to do to make that happen? Work internally, to continue to grow and to see yourself with all your beauty and all the ugly, and recognize that they go together. Well, I'm going to close in a brief prayer. Loving presence, I am grateful for this day and this community, for each person represented here today, each person who is here today. Pray that for each of us we would continue on our own hero's journey. We would continue to grow and to become. We would be courageous in the work that we do. And that we would be resilient and relentless in bringing more beauty to this world of ours, in small and in big ways together.